When scrolling through Instagram, have you ever wondered why so many watches look the same? There are a ton of fashion watch brands whose unique designs seemingly look identical. What exactly is going on here? In a lot of cases, those brands are probably dropshipping. Hey guys, I'm Ben Arthur, this is Ben's Watch Club, and today we're going to be talking about dropshipping. In this video, I'm going to show you what dropshipping is, how to spot dropshipped watches, and how you can ensure you avoid them. Here's how dropshipping essentially works. Let's pretend you are a business owner who wants to set up your own watch brand using this method. First, you head online to a supplier, which most likely means a Chinese wholesaler. There are a ton of these out there like DHgate and Alibaba. You then select the watches that you would like to sell and list them on your web store. For this example, we'll pretend that your chosen product is a watch that Alibaba will sell to you at £2 per piece. On your web store, you'll list that product for £50 per piece. When a customer visits your web store and buys a watch for £50, you forward their order to the supplier, in this case Alibaba. The supplier then ships the product directly to the customer. Unlike in other retail methods, when dropshipping, the product never goes through you, the business owner. As a result, you have no inventory. You've got no stock to hold anywhere. The supplier essentially takes care of everything, and your web store is basically just a front. It's all that the customer sees throughout the whole transaction. You'll then use Facebook or Instagram ads to drive traffic to your web store so you can get more people to buy these watches for £50 each, or however much you're charging. I'm sure there are more technicalities to it, but that's generally the gist of how dropshipping works. There are also other similar variants to this business model. For instance, if you wanted logos on your watches, companies like Alibaba offer a private labeling service for extra money, where they will add a logo to your watches and then ship them to your home for you to dispatch to the customers. However, it seems like the regular dropshipping method is the one that requires the least effort. To the extent that as I've researched this topic before, I'm now being followed around the internet by video advertisements of people trying to sell me dropshipping, trying to get me to buy their courses, and trying to tell me that dropshipping is the latest get-rich-quick scheme almost. And I'm sure after you've watched this video, you'll be met with the same targeted adverts. These guys know what they're doing. Now, inherently, dropshipping isn't a particularly bad thing. Most companies these days source their products from China anyway, and they've got to add some markup to make a profit. On this channel though, I try to give you the best advice possible when it comes to buying watches. And from a customer's perspective, in many cases, dropshipped watches offer terrible value for money, because it seems watches in particular have some of the most utterly extortionate markups out of any dropshipped products. I imagine because the audience that they're targeting with these types of businesses, they don't know anything about watches, and they unfortunately fall for the affordable luxury marketing that's tagged onto these products. I know a guy my age who operates a business just like this. He uses that private labeling method that I talked about before, and he exclusively sells his watches to women. He buys the watches in for just under £3 per piece from Alibaba and sells them for over £60 each on his web store. With almost no overhead costs, that's a 2,000% markup. 2,000%. I understand businesses have got to make profits. They've all got to add markups onto their products. But when it's getting into the thousands of percent, personally, I can't justify it. There's no way that I can recommend that to my viewers. The large majority of these dropshipped watches are such poor quality that you're paying essentially for nothing more than just hype and marketing. The only perceivable thing that I can see that might benefit the consumer is the ease of use of the website. That dropshipping front of a website might be easier for them to use than if they were to try and buy directly from China, because sometimes those Chinese online retailers, they have slightly confusing websites. But realistically, for the price, you can get hold of far better, high quality watches from a variety of better established brands. It's not one of those niches where there's no alternatives. For instance, like with printer ink, where all of it's really quite expensive across the board. That just isn't the case with watches. Nevertheless, you can do with your money as you wish. If you really want to buy from a dropshipping brand, you can. It's your decision at the end of the day. Maybe if you want to support that brand for a particular reason, it's up to you. But personally, I just wouldn't recommend it.
No, don't do it. I'm a
dropshipped watch.
So, how do you identify these dropshipped watches so that you can avoid them? Maybe you've seen a watch that you think might be dropshipped, but you're not sure. Here are some signs to look out for. Firstly, cost is a big factor. Even with the insane markups and price hikes on these products, dropshipped watches are generally in the lower price brackets. Most of these brands use the affordable luxury slogan as their main form of advertising, and as such, the watches tend to retail for under £200. The next thing to look for is the logo, or lack of one. Most watches sold using the traditional dropshipping method are incredibly generic with no logo on them. This is because the supplier ships directly to the consumer. There's no real step for adding a logo unless the seller pays more money, which many realistically don't want to do. There are definitely brands who sell equally poor watches with a logo stamped on them, but the lack of a logo is something that's definitely worth looking out for. I can only think of maybe a couple of brands who sell watches without a logo on the front that aren't dropshipped. So generally, it's quite rare, it's worth considering that. Another thing that you can do is a quick check on websites like Alibaba and AliExpress. Do a quick search for the type of watch that you're considering buying. If you're met with a plethora of identical looking watches, chances are it's probably dropshipping. There is a chance that the supplier website might be selling fake copies of the watch in question. But realistically, in my opinion, if it's quite a new brand, it's likely just a dropship timepiece or something similar. There are several popular designs which I see repeatedly everywhere. I'll show a few of them here, which you'll probably recognize already. If you see one of these, definitely be suspicious. These days, it might even be worth quickly searching on sites like Instagram too. If you're met with a load of brands selling watches that look like the one that you want, chances are they might all be dropshipping, or they're at least all buying from a similar Chinese retailer and having the logo stamped on. Next is their website. There are a couple of things that these brands often have in common. Firstly, they almost exclusively use the Shopify platform for their online stores. If web pages have a Powered by Shopify watermark, there's a fair chance they might be dropshipping. Even if the watermark isn't visible and they've paid to hide it, these websites tend to have the same structure and layout as one another. So after a while, you'll still be able to recognize them. Now, lots of stores, even the ones who might not be dropshipping, do use the Shopify platform. It so easily integrates with the dropshipping business model that it's still worth looking out for. This is what almost all dropshippers tend to be using these days. Also, many of these websites will either have no reviews or fake reviews. When customers are advertised affordable luxury, yet receive a terrible quality watch, reviews aren't always going to be favorable. I've seen brands not allowing reviews, hiding reviews, or completely faking them. Fake reviews are admittedly harder to spot, but I've seen clearly negative reviews still marked as 5 stars before. And obviously, if you hate a watch, probably not going to give it a 5-star rating. This is why I prefer looking at organic video reviews online instead. If you're feeling particularly creative, you can do a simple reverse image search to see if their product images have been taken straight from their supplier's website, something lazy sellers might be inclined to do. Another sign that can be indicative is the specifications. While not always the case, and not necessarily bad quality, you'll find many of these cheap watches have near identical specifications to each other. Keep an eye out for 316L stainless steel case, mineral crystal glass, Japanese Miyota quartz movement, genuine leather strap, 3 ATM or 30 meters of water resistance. And most of these brands also use the same cheesy marketing slogans. Some of my personal favorites include affordable luxury, handcrafted, original design, shaking up the industry, revolutionary distribution system, and the best one of all, cutting out the middleman, even though they're basically a middleman themselves. All of these tend to be straight lies. I want to make it clear here too, dropshipping isn't just limited to small micro brands either. Massive fashion watch brands like Movement Watches and Daniel Wellington use similar methods, or at least have done in the past, typically charging over £100 for unoriginal, low quality watches. Their effective, albeit misleading marketing campaigns mean that they can command these prices. Soon, I'll be releasing my Daniel Wellington full review video on this channel, which you'll be able to view in the icon above me once it's released. What do you think of this? Personally, I prefer to buy from companies who at least offer original designs or manufacture their watches themselves, including brands like Timex and Seiko, because my idea of value really revolves around build quality for price. If I was going to buy a Chinese watch, I prefer to buy directly from China myself, rather than through one of these dropship websites where I'm just spending loads more for the same product. but let me know your thoughts in the comments section. If you'd like to see more videos about affordable wristwatches, consider subscribing to Ben's Watch Club. I'll see you in the next one.